There is a conversation that most couples never have. Not the big one. Not the one about money or retirement or what happens if something goes wrong. That one they always plan to have, someday, when the kids are older, when work settles down, when there is finally a quiet Saturday with nothing else on. The conversation, is smaller than that. It is the one that happens on a Tuesday evening when one of them is loading the dishwasher and the other is going through the mail. The one that starts with, "Do you know what we have?" Not as a question, as a real question. Do you know, right now, if I asked you the number, could you tell me? Not approximately, not roughly, the actual number. Most people cannot answer that. Not because they don't care, because there is always going to be time to learn the number. There is always going to be a quiet Saturday. Tonight, 3 women who found out there wasn't. One because he hid, one because he died, one because the numbers were never hers to begin with. The first one starts on a Tuesday, 2:47 in the afternoon. The laundry was in the dryer. The babies were asleep. She had 12 minutes. She wasn't looking for anything. His phone was on the counter. She picked it up because she was looking for a photo she remembered taking in October. Their youngest at the park. The light had been good that afternoon. She remembered thinking she should print it. Frame it, maybe. Put it in the hallway with the others. That's all she was looking for. She found the folder by accident. The name was ordinary. Kind of name you scroll past because it sounds like a work thing, or an old app, or nothing. She almost scrolled past it. She still thinks about that. The almost. What the afternoon would have looked like if she had kept scrolling. If she had found the photo and put the phone back on the counter. If the babies had woken up right then. If anything had interrupted her. She opened it. The first screenshot was from March. A sports betting app. A confirmation screen. $180. She kept scrolling. Another one. February. $240. And another. January. $90. She kept scrolling. Her thumb kept moving, even though her brain was telling it to stop. She sat down on the kitchen floor. Not dramatically. Her legs just stopped working, and the floor was there. She counted them. 47. She counted them twice. The laundry smell was still there. The babies were still asleep. It was 2:51. 4 minutes. She had used 4 minutes to find 19 months. She stayed on the floor for almost 10 minutes. She knows because the dryer finished its cycle. She heard it click off. The house went quieter. The kind of quiet It means something has changed. She still hadn't moved. She was looking at the $180. The first one. March of last year. $180. The beginning of 19 months. She counted again. 47. Then she packed 2 bags. One for her, one for the babies. She moved quietly, the way you move when you don't want to wake anyone. Old habit. Here is what financial deception looks like inside a household. Not a single catastrophic decision. $180 here, $240 there, $90 on a Thursday night when the babies were asleep, and he thought one more bet would fix what the last one broke. Each one a recovery plan for the one before it. Each one invisible because she had access to the account and just hadn't logged in. She had the app on her phone. Downloaded 2 years ago when they switched banks. She never opened it. She didn't need to. He always knew the balance. He always knew where everything was going. Joint visibility, not joint control. Both people see every account, every month. Not to check on each other, to remove the space where secrets live. A secret requires a space where no one else looks. Remove the space. $17,000. 47 transactions. 19 months. 6 months later, he has 2 jobs. He works days at a school. He works evenings in a store. He comes home at 9. He shows her a spreadsheet every Sunday. Every line itemized. Every dollar accounted for. She looks at it. Every week. Not because she needs to see the numbers, because she needs to see him show it to her. The second story starts differently. There was no secret. No folder with an ordinary name. Just a car. And a red light. And a Thursday in June. 4:18 in the afternoon. The windows open. Something cooking in the slow cooker. She was filling out a form when her phone rang. She almost didn't answer. She still thinks about that. The almost. A car ran a red light. To someone who has rehearsed this sentence many times. She told herself there had been a mistake. She told herself he was probably calling the wrong number. She told herself that men like her husband don't die on a Thursday afternoon when there is something cooking in the slow cooker and a form on the table with the date still wet. He did. A car ran a red light. That is the entire sentence. A car ran a red light. She hung up the phone and stood in the kitchen. The slow cooker was still running. She remembers looking at it for a long time. She walked to the table. The graduation form was still there. His name was in the parent field. Her handwriting. She had written his name. She sat down. She picked up the pen. She put it down. She picked it up again. The windows were still open. The slow cooker was still running. She sat there until it got dark. She did not turn on the lights. She remembers thinking she should turn it off. She didn't. The slow cooker turned itself off eventually. She remembers hearing it click. The same sound as always. The house going quiet. The way it always did at the end of a Thursday. Except it wasn't the same. It was just the first Thursday of everything that came after. She was 46. He was a firefighter. They were graduating their last child in May. They had done everything right. Paid off the house in 2015. No credit cards. No car loans. Life insurance through his employer. A personal policy on top of that. They had a conversation on the back porch. The previous autumn. It was a Sunday evening. The last child had just gotten into her first choice college. He had a beer. She had tea. The yard was going gold. He said, when she graduates, we should finally sit down and figure out the investments. We keep saying we'll do it. Let's actually do it. She said yes. Neither of them wrote it down. Neither of them set a date. There was always going to be time. $500,000 in life insurance, sitting in a checking account, because she didn't know where else to put it. She knew it shouldn't stay there. She just didn't know where else to put it, because he always knew where to put it. Every month it sits. She loses $3,000 she doesn't know she's losing. $36,000 a year in interest she is not earning. That is not her failure. That is the cost of a plan where one person carries the knowledge and the other person never needed to know. She called someone the following week, not because she was ready, because May was coming, and the $1,800 was leaving. And sitting in the dark was not a plan. The plan was always going to be hers eventually. She just didn't know it was going to start this soon. He knew. That's why he bought the policy. The third story is quieter. No secret. No accident. Just 23 years of a list on the kitchen counter that she always saved for him. And then a Saturday in July, 5:23 in the afternoon, the light coming through the kitchen window, making everything look like a photograph. She had been too busy to take it. He didn't come home Sunday. For 23 years, she never looked at a number. Not because she didn't care, because he was there. And he always knew. That was the arrangement. Not written down, not agreed upon out loud, just he knew. And she didn't need to. The list is still on the kitchen counter. She made it the Thursday before he left. Small things that had piled up. A supplier invoice she didn't understand. $2,400. Something about a net 30 term she didn't know how to read. Small things. The kind of things she always saved for him. He was coming home Sunday. She has not thrown the list away. It is still on the counter, under a ceramic mug, a blue one. She bought it at a farmer's market 3 summers ago. He had laughed at her for paying $12 for a mug. She told him it was hand-thrown. He said he didn't know what that meant. She laughed. The mug is still there. The list is still underneath it. Maybe because throwing it away means accepting that the person she wrote it for is never going to read it. Here's what the business actually needs. Separation first. Business account, personal account. 2 Venmos, 2 debit cards. If it is business, it goes in the business account. Every time, without exception. Then the number. Not what it grosses, what it nets. After the food bills, after the vet bills, after the staff, after every cost he tracked in a system she never needed to understand. She found the number in October. Someone sat with her and went through every line. The business made $180,000 last year. She had imagined worse. She had imagined better. $180,000 was just what it was. A number she could work with. A number she could build from. The first number that was ever fully hers. She printed it out, put it in a folder, a plain one, with an ordinary name. She knows what that sounds like. She did it anyway. She opened the QuickBooks account last Tuesday, 9:14 in the morning. The coffee was still hot. She sat at the kitchen table, where she used to sit with her list and wait for Sunday. She looked at the June 28th entry. $847. The feed supplier. His last entry. She looked at it for a long time. She thought about him entering it. A Wednesday morning, probably. 2 days before he left. Just a number. Just a payment. Just a Thursday in the middle of a life he thought would keep going. Then she entered the next one. August 3rd, $612. The same supplier, a different invoice. Her handwriting in the description field. Not his. Hers. It took her 4 minutes. She closed the laptop and sat there for a while with the coffee going cold. She didn't cry. She just sat there. The way you sit when something small turns out to be enormous. There is a woman in this story who never needed to know the numbers. And there is a woman in this story who is learning them now, one entry at a time. They are the same woman. She just didn't know the second one was always there. The blue mug is still on the counter. The list is still underneath it. She will throw it away. Just not yet. 3 women. 3 different reasons they were carrying everything alone. 1 because he hid. 1 because he died. 1 because the numbers were never hers to begin with. The pattern is the same. A system built for 2 that only 1 person understood. There is a version of this story happening right now, in a house where everything is fine, where he handles it, where she doesn't need to know. Where they had a conversation on the back porch on a Sunday evening in autumn. He had a beer, she had tea. The yard was going gold. He said we should finally sit down and figure out the investments. She said yes. Neither of them wrote it down, because there was always going to be a time where the laundry smells warm and the babies are asleep and nobody is looking at the account, because there is always going to be time until there isn't. The quiet Saturday you were saving it for does not announce itself. It just arrives, and then it passes. And the back porch stayed quiet, and the list on the kitchen counter never got answered, and the folder with the ordinary name was always there. There's always going to be time, until the Tuesday afternoon when there isn't.